Now, Industry 5.0, with its emphasis on human-machine collaboration, sustainable practices, and AI-driven decision-making, is reshaping operations. Our next conversation asks, how can your businesses adapt to Industry 5.0? And for that, we welcome our moderator, Nikunj Dalmia, Managing Editor of the Times Network, and his panelists. Round of applause for them.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this session. And my sincere compliments to the team FII for this grand event. When we came here, we came with a lot of curiosity, but we are going back with a lot of knowledge. Knowledge on how the complex world can find really simple solutions. And we would be talking about AI, use case for the business. How is the kingdom really getting prepared in terms of use case for AI to make things really better for the world? Excellency, if I could turn to you for the first question, if I could encourage you to really share the vision of transition from 4.0 to 5.0. Where is the transition? They say that foundation is the most important thing for any transition. So what was the 4.0 foundation, and what is the preparedness for 5.0?
Thank you. It's great to be here. So good evening for everyone. I think it's a great start. It's, if I were asked today, what would be the single most important success factor for Saudi Arabia in achieving our industrial targets and mining targets? I would definitely say it is being bold about technology and being a leader in adopting new technologies. The beauty about 5.0 is finding a way for humans and machines to coexist, helping people to continue participate in innovation, in improving processes, helping people to do things much safer and much better and more efficient. Yet we need to be mindful of the fact that it will be very hard to benefit from 5.0 applications without having a strong foundation of 4.0. So we in Saudi Arabia have a program called Future Factories Program, where we are actually actively, as a government, helping existing capabilities to adopt 4.0 and to master. We are helping them also in the context of the different clusters and industrial cities, where we try to make our industrial cities smart so that people can invest and almost plug and play. But it's very important to ensure that the capabilities, the infrastructure, the foundation of the 4.0 is there for 5.0 to be of value to investors. And I think that's a critical role for the government today in different ways. First of all, I think we need, as governments, to be active in ensuring there are the right policies, there are the right regulation, including cybersecurity regulations and so on. We need to ensure that we have the right infrastructure investments in place to allow investors to invest in technologies and benefit from these technologies. We need to have the right human capital development and education programs to ensure also that the sectors are enabled through human capital. And finally, is really what kind of enablement incentives that can be created to ensure adaptation is happening faster than with leaving it just by itself. So these are important roles of government, and I think today our government collectively, it's not only the industry ministry, but I mean collectively, if we see the amount of investment that we have seen deployed in connectivity in general in Saudi is tremendous. It's really enabling investors to invest in technologies, in advanced manufacturing, in robotics, in AI, in 3D printing, and so on. And definitely with the 5.0, we will be one of the first countries, at least in the region, to be able to adopt. I want also to highlight the importance of these technologies, especially 5.0 and the integration between machine and human in sectors like mining. We will see the future of mines become more inviting to young people, to people with high skills. We will see less people in physical mines, where we can have more safer mines, more energy conservative mines or efficient mines, more environmentally friendly mines, and more efficient output of mines. So all of this collectively will definitely by itself be an industry by itself, where we invite people, solution providers, technology providers to come to Saudi, explore the opportunities, test new technologies, and even I believe Saudi Arabia would be a great home for proof of concept for many ideas to come, both in industry, mining, healthcare, energy, and so on and so forth.
So, Excellency, if I could request you to share a timeline with us that when this entire transition from 4.0 to 5.0 will be fully implemented, and what kind of productivity gains you think the kingdom will benefit because of this?
Well, I have to share, a challenge that we have been facing since we launched the Future Factory program, and I think the colleagues here are the right people to talk about it. But scaling up is a challenge. We have to also address this challenge. How can we, as a country, it's easy to take one plant and do the necessary work, but for the ambitious program of 4,000 factories, it's a more difficult. So I seek the help of these gentlemen to work with us in scaling up the solution. I'm sure that if we put our heads together, we will find a solution. One thing we are betting on in Saudi is the young generation. They are actually very receptive of these technologies. They are able to understand them. They are able even to improve in some of the technologies. So I believe that with our partners here, we will be able to resolve this challenge.
You've given me the cue for my next question, which is that how do you think IBM can really help the kingdom in implementation of this vision? And are there any regulatory hurdles which really need to be addressed?
Yeah, thank you for the question, and it's an honor to be here. Let me start with the regulatory piece. I think regulation is really important because that's what everybody's trying to figure out. How is AI going to be regulated? And I think the key part here is to make sure that the use case gets regulated. If you think about AI, it's got three main parts. There's the data, and I think everybody believes that data has to be protected and there have to be regulations there. There's the technology that would sit in the middle, and that technology is going to continue to evolve and change. But then there is the use case that's there. And if you think about the use cases, many people may have used some sort of navigation to get here today. And that navigation might have given you a wrong turn and you might be 5 minutes late. That's okay. But if you think about a use case in AI that has a life-changing medical decision or influencing credit or loans or things like that, those use cases need to be where the regulation is, and it's important for clear regulations to be put across across governments. What is crystal clear is that the kingdom is so invested in this and is in a unique position to really drive forward leadership in AI. And we've been in the kingdom since 1947, and we've got a long history here. And we see the potential. And that's why we're doing things like opening a software lab here in the kingdom, in Riyadh, that is developing sustainability and data and AI software, not for the kingdom, but for the whole world. But it has the great input that the kingdom is giving into that software. We're opening up a delivery center in Al Baha in the south and partnering with the university down there to make sure that we're taking the skills from the graduates and putting it into our delivery center to really advance what's going on. Because as His Excellency talked about, it's really about making sure we've got the people to do this. And the people, if you look at it today, shelf life of technology skills is roughly 3 years, maybe a little under. So there's got to be current, regular updating of skills to make it possible. And we're seeing that across the kingdom. So there's a huge opportunity here.
So what kind of investments would you be doing in the kingdom?
Well, as I
Since
mentioned,
you would like to know more about the investments you're doing here.
yeah, well, as I mentioned, this year we just opened in the last couple months, we opened a software development lab,
Okay.
global software development. We're investing in skilling over 30 million people by 2030 with a big piece of that here. We're opening the delivery lab in the south, the delivery center in the south. We're having conversations about innovation center that we would open up here. There's a lot of work we're doing, and we're continually growing our team here in the kingdom as we've got a regional headquarters here based in Riyadh, and really making sure that we're delivering the best that we can to the kingdom so that the growth can continue to occur.
Peter, the AI revolution has been compared to the industrial revolution and what internet did and how social media has changed distribution. How much of this opinion about AI is buzz and how much of that is reality?
Thanks for the question. First of all, I think AI is going to be bigger than the World Wide Web. And we're just at the beginning of that in multitude of applications. But, let me maybe talk about some of our own experience and, come to the point of how can we scale some of the things in the Industrial Revolution 5.0. Because the scaling is not simple. First of all, I think it needs to make financial sense for the company to scale. You don't do something just to say, I've done some AI and, but where's the benefit? So I want to see the benefit. Our own research has shown, and we have 165 factories globally, half of them are very well advanced in driving digital revolution into it. One of the things we found out, number one, is 60+% of the data that we have in our own facilities is unused. In fact, the value in general in the industry is 68%, research has shown. So one of the things very important is you need to have a data strategy in your facility, and that goes back to 4.0, if I may say it that way. You need to have a data strategy. Once you have a data strategy, then you can think about the applications you want to bring in, and some of them use different methods of AI, mostly because it is industrial data, is more machine learning and not generative AI in the beginning. Now, the next thing we find out is we need to enable our people to do that. So I always say, we need to have more HI, human intelligence, in our factories, and we need to train people. We need to make them digitally savvy. That's the second point I think that everybody needs to think about. And then thirdly, with the evolution of AI moving into generative AI, we have found that generative AI can read, for example, documentation extremely well, and they are teaching our people how to use that great technology that we have deployed, because it's not making a single mistake in reading the document and telling people how to use the software. Now you can say, well, can it automatically trigger? Many clients that I'm meeting, they're saying, I need to have humans in between because we have very large assets, we have very large factories, and I'm not going to trust the machine to make all of those decisions. So three things: data strategy, then human intelligence to the AI, and then find a smart way of implementing the generative AI as well. And in our factories, I can tell you, every year, since many, many years, we're bringing out 10 to 15% of the energy that we're using is less the following year. That means our CO2 footprint every year lower than the year before. And then there is also the industrial productivity.
Vimal, if you could just talk us about the sector, where energy sector, and how AI, in a sense, could be game changer, and what kind of breakthrough AI could have for the energy sector, because the word energy is something which somehow is not related with AI.
Yeah. So I would say that first we have to appreciate that energy sector is mission critical. You cannot do things which are not predictable. So it has to be deterministic. So it means if you have plant to shut down due to emergency condition, it should. So it means anything deterministic AI will not be able to do. So it has to be based upon what is probability based, but it's acceptable. So probability-based acceptable things would be also to solve a specific problem. And the biggest problem we see in energy industry is skill shortages. Increasingly, people's willingness to work as panel operators, maintenance technicians, that's becoming increasingly challenging. So we're taking the two opposite end. Opportunity is GPT, and problem is skill, how we merge the two together to build capabilities which solve the problem. So it means building tools which make operators more efficient, using probability-based, regression-based analysis to say, when this data set is true, this condition will occur. It's an advisory system, but it makes operator far more effective. Similarly, making maintenance technician far more effective, process engineers far more effective. So that's one area. We're working with all large companies to do that. At the same time, the example which Peter gave is the power of AI has been observation. We all get excited when we can observe images, we can write our resume. That's great. In context of energy sector, the opportunity is project cycle takes a lot of time. And project cycle take a lot of time because engineers love to write a lot of specifications for a long period of time. That can be heavily automated. So that requires specialized LLMs, large language models, to use existing data. So that's another area we are working on. So I would say that it's going to primarily solve the skill issue, bring more productivity, and therefore become a revenue generator, because if we do not have skilled people, we will not be able to run our plants, therefore it become a revenue issue at some point of time. So I think there is a notion that AI equals to job reduction. I always argue AI equals to revenue generation in context of the sectors we serve, and we need to just put that in perspective.
But you'll appreciate the spirit of my next question, which is that innovation is always considered to be a double-edged sword because it comes at the cost of sustainability. So what should CEOs be focusing on? Should we be focusing on revenue, or should they be focusing on climate?
Look, the climate problem our generation has to solve. We inherited this, so if we don't solve it, and it's a problem which requires a lot of, I would say, balance between what is practically possible in a short period of time and be more pragmatic about it. So your question, CEOs have to solve both questions. If I am the CEO, Peter gave his example, Honeywell has reduced its emission by 50% in the last 5 years. It's almost imperative. If we do not do that, we are not walking the talk. But how we also create capabilities that our customers can do it. So we have to grow our revenue, we have to use AI, but we also have to build new capabilities. And it's absolutely possible. I'm an optimist. There is no reason the world will not solve climate change issue with new capabilities all of us are building. But it requires a collaborative approach between customers, between technology providers, between regulators, so that we meet the supply and demand side.
Ajit, again, that same question, which is perhaps centered around data centers. The backbone for AI is data center. Data center means that you're consuming a lot of electricity, a lot of storage, and that is against the norms of what environment wants. How do you balance it? And how is the kingdom really looking at balancing this?
So thank you, Nikunj, for the question. Great question. Before I try to answer or respond to your question, let me try to little bit build a bit of a background. You know, in the context of what is today the biggest enabler for the adaptation from Industry 4.0 to 5.0, This is the move from automation to AI. I think we should not lose track of the fact that the biggest enabler is the infrastructure stack. That whole infrastructure stack on which AI as the last mile stack sits has to be there. And energy comes into that whole discussion about the infrastructure stack. So data centers are that single biggest enabler of the realization of the AI prowess, the AI potential of the world. Whether we talk about $1 trillion industry or whether I just heard a 35 million trillion industry, doesn't matter. Anyway, the number of zeros, none of us here at least can count. The whole potential of it rests in making sure that we are able to build enough of these data centers which are to be powered for the production, for the manufacturing of intelligence. And that's what it is. We at DataVolt, we are focusing on building these AI factories. As simple as that. Now, let me just connect again the kingdom in the bigger context of data centers, the adaptation of the industry to 5.0, and the energy problem that you spoke about. This infrastructure, which is the data centers per se, what they need is the land, the permitting, and the energy. Today, we are so privileged that the kingdom has established itself as the green energy capital of the world. This is the only country in the world today, every year producing 10 gigawatts of green energy. Wow. People are talking, but the political will and the leadership of this country has already graduated this country to produce 10 gigawatts of green energy per year. And let me add the icing on the cake. The green energy that is produced in this country is the lowest cost of energy in the world. 1 cent, 1.04 cent for utility scale green energy in the world. Nowhere in the world we have seen this. It is all a question of now harnessing this energy, the lowest cost production of the energy, in order to produce, that is to move from LCOE, the lowest cost of energy, to LCC, the lowest cost of computing, which is what is going to open the entire AI industry for the world. And this is the time now for the world to come to the kingdom and immediately realize the potential of AI by building these mega data centers, by building these super campuses, by building what I would call as the AI factories of the world.
You know, you brilliantly articulated all my questions into one answer, but as an anchor, I will always have one more question.
Sure.
So my last question, and would request for a brief answer, is that if the vision of the kingdom is to be the AI capital of the world, or the data capital of the world, there's always a whole issue of data security. How will that move? A quick 30-second answer.
So look, data sovereignty in itself, I mean, from a regulation perspective also, is a very important topic. But the important thing here is that we all need to make sure, first of all, the AI factories are not just for the kingdom. The AI factories are the factories for the world. Just like we all made China the manufacturing factory of the world, or the manufacturing breadbasket of the world in the last 20 years. Now is the time to make the kingdom the AI manufacturing base of the world. Right. And I think in this context, what is important to understand is that we can very quickly graduate into this. And yeah, I think the elements that are out there are very conducive. We just need to act very quickly. The connectivity exists for the kingdom. It has some of the best landing stations. The subsea cables are all there. Again, part of Vision 2030. You see, the kingdom in the last 8 years has been putting all the fundamental enabling blocks out there. It is now the time for all of them to come together. They did it for the energy sector in terms of the pure play production of green power. They will have to do this now very quickly together. by bringing all of these elements together. And lo and behold, we will have these AI factories coming up one after the other.
So we've got about 2 minutes left. Excellency, can I go back this message when I go back home for our audience and the audience here and those who would be watching online, that the kingdom now is getting ready not for an incremental growth, but for a transformational change?
Absolutely, and thank you for our colleague. I mean, I think he said it all. What we are doing today in Saudi Arabia is really looking at every aspect of cost, making sure that our country is competitive in each and every one of the components of cost. And definitely energy is a key component. Yeah, Saudi Arabia is going to be an industrial powerhouse and also a great logistic hub. Today, it is very hard to find a country that has this great mix of natural resources, energy competitiveness, great location, stability, both politically and financially, and great infrastructure, physical and digital, and above all, great people, young, energetic, willing to participate and work hard for everybody.
Jonathan, in one line, if you have to really say the key takeaway for you from the summit, what would that be in one line?
As the world of AI changes from where it is today, the hype cycle and people starting to put their toes in the water on it, to assistance, and then to the agentic world of AI, the kingdom is clearly going to be a leader and driving the change around the world.
The clock's ticking, and I've shamelessly extended my time. But I'll just take the moment to thank all of you for joining the panel. And if I may add, Excellency, it's our first visit as Time Network to this lovely country. We're touched with the warmth, the hospitality, and the love and the affection we've got. So when you mention people, I guess any country is all about people and culture, and that is what we're experiencing. So thank you for hosting us, and thank you to the audience, and thank you for the house for just being here. Thank you very much. Such a pleasure, and honor is all ours. Thank you very much.
Thank you.